KCRA3 exclusive investigation. We reported first last week the November death of a woman at Mule Creek State Prison during a conjugal visit with her husband was ruled a homicide, and now we're learning another woman was also murdered during a visit with her husband at the same prison a few months before that. Both deadly incidents taking place at the Mule Creek State Prison in Ione. That's in Amador County. KCRA3 investigates Lizzie Mitri spoke exclusively with that woman's family.
Curtis, this family saw our investigation last week after the murder of 62-year-old Stephanie Dowles, and they said they felt compelled to come forward with their story.
We were born and raised in San Francisco. We were raised by our grandparents. And this is just a little collage of her life.
Janine Rojo and her cousin weren't just close in age.
We've literally been together since birth.
They did everything together until July 1st when everything changed.
It's just tragic what happened.
Her cousin, a single mother of one, died.
Tanya Vanessa Corpus Thomas, she was 47 years old.
She says Thomas spent more than half her life battling lupus, but the family learned the disease is not what killed her.
For her to be taken away this way, it's gut-wrenching.
The Amador County District Attorney tells KCRA3 investigates Thomas's husband, 48-year-old Anthony Curry, is charged with her murder.
Oh, it hit my gut.
He's accused of strangling Thomas during a conjugal visit at Mule Creek State Prison. Court records show Curry was already serving time in prison for a conviction of attempted murder following the 1999 shooting of his 19-year-old girlfriend at the time.
He shot a girl in the head and dumped her body, so he left her body for dead.
She was found at a remote truck stop in Richmond, barely alive. A gunshot wound to the head left her permanently blind and partially paralyzed.
He's a violent person.
Rojo says she had no idea her cousin even had conjugal visits with him.
With that history of severe violence, why are they being allowed to have these visits? Unsupervised.
It's something she kept to herself until she saw the story on the November death of 62-year-old Stephanie Dowles.
4 months after a woman died while visiting an inmate at Mule Creek State Prison, we've learned her death is now deemed a homicide.
Another woman killed at Mule Creek State Prison during a conjugal visit with her husband, a 4-time convicted murderer.
I was sick to my stomach and I was in tears.
She could no longer stay silent.
I'm not against conjugal visits. However, there's already 2 murders at Mule Creek. What can be done to prevent this from happening again? Maybe put more prison guards out, to do more safety checks, to anything to save another life.
The CDCR website shows inmates can't have conjugal visits if they're on death row, convicted of sex offenses if they're going through the reception process upon arrival to a prison, or if they have disciplinary restrictions. But there is no mention of violent crime convictions. CDCR says inmates have to apply and meet strict criteria to earn the privilege of family visits, and they say these visits are meant to support family connection and rehabilitation.
Okay, so a lot of people would say 1 murder is too many, 2 murders, way too many. What security measures are in place to protect people who are there visiting?
Right, we had to go through their manual to see what do they do, how do they make sure people are safe. What we could find is inmates have to present themselves for a count at least 4 times in 24 hours, and the prison can order unscheduled inspections, but otherwise the manual really highlights that they try to ensure the inmate's privacy.
But we know about a second case because the family came forward. How many other cases are there that we don't know about?
Right, and we have asked the corrections department, and they responded to our inquiry, answering everything except for that question.
Breaking news, 4 months after a woman died while visiting an inmate at Mule Creek State Prison, we've learned her death is now deemed a homicide.
The Amador County coroner tells KCRA3 investigates she was strangled. Investigative reporter Lizzie Mitri is here with what she has uncovered. Lizzie.
Curtis, we've been following this story for several months, waiting to hear from the coroner, all after learning 62-year-old Stephanie Dowles from the Los Angeles area died at Mule Creek State Prison in Ione on November 13th at about 2 in the morning. Her family tells us she was visiting her husband, 54-year-old David Brinson. He's been in prison since 1994, and court records show a jury convicted Brinson of 4 counts of murder, and he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. but he was allowed family visits. The CDCR website tells us those happen in private apartment-like facilities on prison grounds and can last about 30 to 40 hours. So it was during one of those visits that Dowles died. We know she was a hairstylist and a small business owner, and she was very close with her community in Southern California. So now, while the coroner has ruled Dowles' death a homicide, the prison says its investigation is still ongoing, and the district attorney's office tells us it has not filed charges against anyone because it's still waiting on that criminal investigation to be completed. Back to you.
Lizzie, have you had a chance to speak with the family?
Yeah, we have. They're obviously very upset about this, and they have questions about whether these private family visits should have been allowed.
People looking at that now. All right, Lizzie.